Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's Futsal Champions Series action. Lansing City traveling to Canton, Michigan to take on Detroit Imperial. Here on FCS Live, I'm Jared Klepp along with Gerard Iscani giving you pregame coverage presented by Ally Marketing. This game, Gerard, it's essentially a win or go home.
Yeah, this is a huge game. When we think about where both of these teams stand at this point in the season, if Detroit Imperial doesn't take full points, they're risking not making the playoffs.
And a similar story for Lansing City as well. Only a couple of games left for both sides. We'll get a little bit more into the home side, Detroit Imperial, a little bit later. But for now, let's talk a little bit about Lansing City. They are currently on a 2-game win streak, trying to make it 3 in a row tonight, Gerard.
They have been hot. They have been playing really good. One of the things we talked to Matt Alashari about is early in the season against teams like Jenga and Midwest, they were really at the first step of learning futsal and learning to play together as a young team. But now they're really on to like phase 3 of this development. And when we talk about some of the young players like Elijah Vu, Drew Barney, they've really been escalating their game, and it shows.
And one of the key things that they've been doing is eliminating those mistakes that have given up goals. A lot of them were kind of markers of immaturity, giving away easy goals in the back, and actually some of them were the goalkeeper's fault too, both goalkeepers there. But we saw Ethan Castaneda have an amazing game the last time.
Yeah, he had a great game. One of the things that I love to see out of him is his aggressiveness coming out of goal, and the slide tackles, just reckless ambition. He does whatever it takes to stop the other team from scoring.
And you mentioned Drew Barney just a second ago. He is one of the players we wanted to highlight before the game today because, outside of Jeremy Kleppel, who we're going to talk about in a second, he's probably the most important player on the court for Lansing City.
Yeah, one of the things that Drew does really well is he understands positioning. He's really creative on the ball, and so understanding spacing. And so him and David Saltzman do a great job of hooking up and understanding where each other's going to be on the court, and they take advantage of the space that Jeremy creates for them.
And they do a very good job of creating space of their own. That's one of the things that I love about Drew Barney, and something that I think really goes unnoticed many times. And for all the viewers out there, I encourage you, take a look at this during this game. He's very easy to find. He's got the yellow banana shoes, so you'll find Drew Barney because of the banana shoes. And look at how when he moves, particularly on offense without the ball, how it opens up the court and opens up passes for Lansing City to, in their attack. He's just very futsal smart, which is something that's so important in a time where futsal in the United States trying to get away from this soccer inside and into a futsal mentality.
Yeah, one of the things that's really important when you think about the difference between the outdoor game and futsal is the ability to work in tight spaces. And tonight, we're going to see it. So tonight, it's going to be front and center. This is a really small court. And when you think about how do we see some of those differences between the outdoor soccer game and futsal, Drew Barney should be a standout for us tonight, especially with his technical skills.
And speaking of that small court, this is something that it's we talked with Coach Matt Alashari of Lansing City, leading up to today's game, and he said this is one of the biggest factors. I mean, Lansing City plays on a full 40-meter by 20-meter court, and at Canton Sala, it's much, much smaller.
Yeah, and so a lot of these players, this is the smallest court they've played on not only this season but in their career. And so a player like Drew Barney, not a lot of opportunities to play on court sizes this small. And when we talk to Matt Alashari, it's not something that they necessarily prepare for by condensing their own court, because when they do prepare and when they train, they want their play style to transcend whatever court they're on. They want it to always be able to contribute no matter what level they play, no matter what court size they play. So a lot of the things they worked on this week weren't specifically dedicated to the court size, but they did address it as far as like the mentality that they're going to play with.
And that it is going to be a factor. I mean, you talk about home court advantage. Lansing City, Detroit Imperial, the home team, they practice on this court 5 times a week, actually probably the highest practice rate of any team in the FCS. We heard that from Coach Pierce, that they practice 5 times a week. So they are on this court all the time. They know what it's like. But actually transitioning to them just for a moment, they're trying to break a losing streak here. They're on a 4-game skid, Gerard.
It's been tough, and tonight they're missing 2 of their best players, Michael Forbes, Davide Depoche. And when you think about playing to their strengths on their home court, those are two of the players that really accentuate that home court advantage the most. And without both of them, it's going to be really interesting to see how they're able to overcome that.
And, we did mention that you talked about two of their key players, Michael Forbes, Davide DePoce. Those are actually two of the players that we wanted to highlight, and we knew that Davide was going to be out. But Michael Forbes, we expected him to be in the roster today. He was not. So we're going to see Emerson Velasquez step up, and he played, in the last Lansing City game.
He was outstanding in the last game. He really was phenomenal. And so even though Detroit Imperial lost by a pretty large margin, he had an incredible amount of saves. He even played through a really intense injury as well. And so when we think about the biggest turning point in that game, it was right about the time when he got hurt. And so hopefully he's recovered at this point. I'm not sure if it was like I don't know if it was fractured or not, but I remember
dislocated or something. But it was something with his hand.
And it wasn't just like a minor injury.
It was very painful.
Yeah, it was.
Absolutely was.
And we talked about that a number of times on the stream during the game. And so if he's back to full health, he's going to be a tremendous asset. But the huge differentiator between him and Michael Forbes is that Michael Forbes is a very aggressive goalkeeper. And when you think about the smaller court, Michael Forbes, I've said it before that he's the best goalkeeper in FCS. And not having him and not having that offensive advantage from the goalkeeper spot, that's going to be tough for them to be able to overcome. We anticipate there being a lot of transition, a lot of counterattacking, and will Emerson's distribution be on point?
And, you talk about missing Michael Forbes. We mentioned just a second ago that they're also going to be missing Davide DePoce due to a red card suspension. That's some big shoes to fill for Detroit Imperial.
It is, and one of the people that we talked about was Trask filling those, and he's not here either. And so when you think about who's going to step up, they got a few different people. Ahmed Abderrahman, Ahmed Abouchaban, those are some people that we look to that might be able to fill those shoes. But only time will tell.
I think probably the player to look out for is going to be number 11, Costa Wells. He has been a player that's been consistent with Detroit Imperial over the last couple of years. He's kind of been with this group that came from Midwest, along with Davide, along with Omar, along with Michael Forbes. And Costa Wells, definitely one of their top-tier players. Maybe not as noticeable as Davide DePoce as far as just recognizability, but he's definitely right under that as far as going synonymous with Detroit Imperial, Costa Wells. So I think, he probably will be donning the captain's armband tonight without Michael Forbes, without Davide DePoce. So I expect to see Costa Wells. A lot's going to be asked of him tonight as Detroit Imperial tries to find a way to end this skid. And before we go to predictions, I want to go back over to the Lansing City side for just a moment. Jeremy Kleppel. How can you have a Lansing City game without talking about Jeremy Kleppel, who's a part of that 2021 World Cup run for the United States?
Yeah, it's one of the things that we talked about on the third half was Jeremy really allows Lansing City to skip the first phase of the attack. And so when you think about in futsal, being able to overcome the press, especially on this small court in Futsal Sala, Jeremy should put them at a huge advantage. And it's one of the things when we talked about what this game was going to work out, we knew that Jeremy was going to have a massive impact, and it's really what can Imperial do to change that or to force them to get the ball into another player's feet.
And another way of putting it, what can they do to restrict his play? We talked about that, and probably the number one thing is going to be the court size. We talked about that too, but the last time around, Detroit Imperial didn't have their full squad. They don't have their full squad again tonight, but they do have some players like Costa Wells and Ahmed Abderrahman, John Hollowell, so they are definitely more filled out than they were the last time. And, of course, Emerson Velasquez in goal. He played phenomenal, and Forbes, they'll miss him and his leadership, but Velasquez also, he was one of the best keepers I've seen in the FCS so far as well.
Yeah, he really was outstanding last time they played. It was somebody that we kept talking about. Every time we've seen Lansing City, there's always a barrage of shots, and he withstood that barrage incredible. He was heroic that night for them, even with the loss.
So at this point, we're going to start transitioning to court side. If you want to make your prediction of who's going to win this game, go ahead and put it in the chat. Gerard, who do you got for tonight?
Well, I said Lansing City. on Thursday, and I don't think, especially now that Michael Forbes is not there, I don't think that I can go back on that. If anything, I'm more in favor of Lansing City at this point. Emerson's a great goalkeeper, but one of the things that I think that they will miss out of Michael Forbes is that offensive creativity and flying the keeper. And so, we didn't really see a lot of that from Emerson, even when they fell down pretty heavily last time these two teams met. So at this point, Lansing City really by a landslide.
And I do feel similar. Obviously the small court is going to be a big question mark. How does the Lansing City team adjust to that? How do the young players adjust to that? But I do think Lansing City is going to take it away in this one. So who do you think is going to win this game? Is it going to be Detroit ending their 4-game skid, or will Lansing City continue rolling into potentially locking up a playoff spot with a win? We're going to send it to our sponsors, and then our intro video, starting lineups, kickoff, so don't go anywhere.
Committing a crime so you can try to escape from prison. Bad idea. Go into the pod escape room to play an escape game with your friends. Great idea. Test your skill as an astronaut in outer space. Find Santa in Save Christmas. Or take a vacation to an abandoned island. Just don't get stuck there. The Pod Escape Room. Learn more at thepodlansing.com.
Game 22 of the Futsal Champions Series. Two teams tied for 4th place are in a crucial match tonight. With just 2 playoff spots remaining, the significance of tonight's showdown is undeniable. Lansing City rolls into Detroit on an upswing with a pair of 9-2 victories in each of their last 2 games. This young team has continued to improve each match, with key players returning through this successful run. Detroit Imperial will be looking to turn their fortunes around. The defending champions have lost 4 in a row and must collect points to stay in the playoff picture. They'll also look to avenge that 9-2.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Canton, Michigan for tonight's Futsal Champions Series match between Lansing City and Detroit Imperial. Here at Detroit Imperial's home court, Canton Sala, I'm Jared Klepp along with Gerard Ascani on the FCS Live Network, bringing you tonight's match. Gerard, we talked about it in the pregame. One of the biggest factors of tonight is all that blue you see out there, and I'm not talking about the uniforms.
Yeah, the court size. It's narrow, it's small. It's going to be a big change for Lansing City. And when we talked to Matt Elishari this week, he talked about the first 10 minutes really being the call out of, like, how will the team adjust and what tactical movements will they need to make. So let's keep a lookout for that. It looks like the clock is not going yet, but we'll get you caught up on that shortly.
So play has already begun for the first couple of minutes here as we see the starting lineups Lansing City, of course, Jeremy Kleppel, number 81, out on the court. We see Conrad Gonzalez in goal. He made a save right there. We got to talk with him on the third half just a little bit a couple days ago. We also have Drew Barney out there, Elijah Vu, and David Saltzman to round out the starting lineup for Lansing City.
One of the players that Matt Alashar was saying that to really keep an eye on for this game was David Saltzman. His veteran leadership and just experience. He's played on courts like this size before, and he's somebody that can withstand some of the pressure that comes with playing on a court that's really condensed.
We have a player down for Detroit Imperial. That looks to be number 14, Ahmed Abu Shaban, one of the starters for Imperial. Hopefully he's okay as Coach Pierce comes to check him out. He stands to his feet. The other starters for Detroit Imperial, John Hollowell, Costa Wells, Andriy Pelek, and Emerson Velasquez in goal. And Gerard, we talked a lot about Emerson Velasquez, him being in the goalkeeper position instead of Michael Forbes in the pregame. We actually saw him against Lansing City the last time these two teams met, and he put on a wonderful performance even though they gave up, I think it was 9 goals in that game.
Yeah, Emerson put on a show. I mean, as much as you can put on a show in a losing effort.
And we're going to have the first goal of the match. It was Costa Wells coming in, finding the 5-hole underneath Conrad Gonzalez as he came out of goal, and Detroit Imperial takes the lead early on here, 1-0.
Well, you called it before the game. You said Costa Wells was somebody to look out for, and he didn't disappoint right there.
Lansing City had another one. They give it away in the back. Again, 2 goals, less than 5 seconds apart, Gerard.
Yeah, that's really surprising. Andriy Pelek put that away really quickly. And, it's something we talked about with the counterattacks and just the aggressiveness. Really great movement from him to put that away. Great positioning. Great finish.
Lansing City in trial by fire on this small court. As Jonah Timblow puts one across the face of goal, nearly found Elijah Vu. Kicking Detroit Imperial deep in their own territory. Barney picks it up. He takes a shot. Takes a deflection, and it will be a kick in for Lansing City. Off the post, Jonah Timblow. Wow. Lansing City almost getting right back into it and cutting that lead in half right there.
Yeah, futsal is a game of momentum. We know that it can go really fast one way to the other. So it's 2-0 early, but there's still a lot of game to be played.
Kleppel bringing it across the half line, takes a shot. A lot of echo to his shot in Canton Sala.
Yeah, we've talked about this before. Jeremy on a full-size court is dangerous from just about anywhere. So tonight, as soon as he gets the ball, watch out because he can put it in the back of the net from anywhere on this court.
Now Lansing City restarting through the hands of Conrad Gonzalez. They are down 2-0, giving away 2 goals in rapid succession. Ooh, left foot strike from Kleppel. Does not miss by much.
No, and this is the first time this season we're seeing Sandro Blanco. He's number 11 for Lansing City. He recently moved to Lansing, and this is his first action for Lansing City. So right now he's in the right ala position, so it'll be interesting to see how they use him. Matt Alashari talked about his technical skills being elite.
Alongside him, currently on the court, Jonah Timblow, Josh Robeson, Leonce Nyasaba. The line currently for Lansing City. Lansing City trying to find a way to get the ball out of that corner. Dropping 2 goals early on. First one. Oh, Timblow nearly missing the far post once again.
You know, this is something that we saw at Olay too when they played on this court. It was their first time playing against Imperial on a court of this size. They fell down early 3-1, and you have to wonder how much of it was just an adjustment playing on this size of court, and it takes some time to really get into the flow of the game and understand that you're not going to be able to maintain possession the way that you normally do.
Certainly that's what we expect from Lansing City at this time, going down 2 early goals. The question is, will they continue to give up those goals like a leaky faucet, or will they solidify that, and will it be just an adjustment to the small court? And as time goes on, we'll find that out. Emerson Velasquez plays direct, looking for the pivot, headed away by Robeson. Lansing City not able to get it back. Imperial in a dangerous area, but it goes out of bounds. Lansing City kicking far side.
On the side.
Little obstruction of the camera right there. We talk about the small court, but the other thing that's small in this place is the facility itself. I mean, the referee and the camera right here, you know, backed up to the wall. So we have a very wide shot from Coastal Wells, nowhere near the goal.
You know, it's not something that we talk about often as far as like the positioning from the officials, but without having a lot of space to work there on the sidelines, it can be really difficult to get in the right position to get the proper angle. Because when you think about seeing the game and calling the game, one of the most important aspects of getting the call right as an official is positioning.
Ball comes into Saltzman. He loses it. Imperial looking to go the other way. City backtracks and wins it back. And here is Kleppel. He's got Owen Daughtry in front of him. Gets a little space. Shot takes deflections. We should have a Lansing City corner coming right up.
Yeah, and like we see, as soon as he's crossing half court, Kleppel is not afraid to shoot that ball.
Hirita has it. Left foot strike. Velasquez meets it at the top of the arc.
Really great positioning from Velasquez. He knew exactly where to be for that.
Left foot off from Elijah Vu, goes high and wide. So Velasquez will play it short. So we had a player for a moment enter the game, but he still had his.
Yeah, you know, what's really interesting on that corner kick, Velasquez was really far out of the penalty area near the top of the arc, and typically you're not going to be that far out. He was anticipating that move to Kleppel, and he anticipated correctly and was in a great position to really cut down the angle to where Jeremy wasn't able to do much with it.
Goal number 3 for Detroit Imperial. Looks to be number 14, I think, if I see that number correctly. Ahmed Abushaban. The touch inside, finding the far post. And Conrad Gonzalez and this Lansing City side have conceded 3 early in half number 1.
Yeah, this is definitely not the way you want to start the game if you're Lansing City. When you think about the narrow court and the tight space, giving up 3 early goals does not make for a good experience.
We'll see what they can do to try to claw their way out of this one. Meanwhile, Detroit Imperial feeling good about this game. A turn, strike, just wide from number 21, Haider Fakih. Saltzman wins that one. He's going to have a kick in. So we have a little bit of obstruction of the camera there for a moment. Here is Kleppel making moves on that sport court surface. It's kind of got this plasticky feel to it. Oh, trouble. Goal number 4. Detroit laying it on Lansing here in the first half. And that was the third easy giveaway goal.
It was. And
Second.
The second. And that Andre Pellick did the same thing he basically did the first time. He had a steal deep in Lansing City's half. And when you think about that distribution from Conrad Gonzalez, it really needs to be better than that. That was, again, great positioning by Andre to understand where to be, to take advantage and put it in the back of the net.
Lansing City find themselves in a hole early on. But on the other side, Detroit Imperial's got to be feeling pretty good about this one. After losing 4 straight games, they have a 4-goal lead here at home.
Yeah, especially missing your 2 best players, and you come out like this, it really has to say a lot about Detroit Imperial's preparation coming into this game.
Imperial started on the far side, now swinging it over here to the near. John Hollowell had it for a moment. Passes it away, and Timblow with the touch, and so Velasquez will scoop it up. His throw deflected out of bounds by Drew Barney. Imperial looking for a way to build out of the back. Lansing City in their typical high pressure. They just, Lansing City, the high pressure that they bring, they're really just trying to accelerate the game and minimize the amount of time that the opponents have on the ball to just make them less comfortable with it. Whoa, Kleppel, left foot strike off the post. I think that's the 3rd time City's hit the post tonight.
Yeah, and even with the scoreline being 4-0, City definitely has had some really good opportunities. They just haven't been able to finish. But they're putting in some dangerous attempts on goal.
Play will be restarted here with a kick in from Detroit Imperial on the near side. Just 4 seconds to get the ball in. They make it that time. As they go backwards, Lansing City continuing to push up the court and to accelerate the game. They're not turning away from this high press.
No, it's one of the things when you look at Detroit Imperial's bench, they only have 3 subs tonight. And when you think about what we've seen time and time again in this league is that teams wear down over the course of the game because it takes so much effort and energy to maintain the high level of play. And so I would anticipate Lansing City continuing to do this high press because they have more subs available. They have a deeper roster tonight, and so they're going to be able to wear out.
Oh, Velasquez flying up as an attacker off that corner. Stopped by Gonzalez. Give away from Lansing City once again near the half line. Ahmed Abu Shaban here in the corner with the ball. Looks up the line. Oh, he had his teammate for a moment, but sort of stuck to the floor there. Falls to the ground. Now Kleppel, Velasquez coming way out. Ball across the face of goal. Vu was there. Timblow was there. But a goal was not there.
Wow, Velasquez is he's taking some risk out there tonight.
Kleppel, another shot. Another save from Velasquez. And honestly, we're seeing Velasquez come out, and I don't hate this from a goalkeeper, from a futsal goalkeeper.
No, he's really putting a lot of pressure on Jeremy because he knows those shots are coming, and so he really wants to close down that space and eliminate the angle for Jeremy. And the closer he can get, the easier it's going to be for him to make some of those saves. But if Vu puts that away, and it looks like we have a goal here.
That's goal number 5 coming off the corner. Number 16. Not on our roster sheet. Don't know who number 16 is. But he puts in goal number 5 for Detroit Imperial, and they continue to lay it on Lansing City tonight.
And, a lot of these goals for Detroit Imperial are coming from a place where Lansing City is just not prepared defensively. Either it's a quick turnover, a quick set piece, and they're just not in the right position to defend.
Here's Imperial on the attack again. Quickly thwarted by Alessandro Blanco. One of the new players for Lansing City tonight. We have not seen him in action yet in the FCS, and breaking the line there, nearly an opportunity, was Detroit Imperial number 18, Andrew Pellick.
You have to start to wonder, at what point do we see Ethan Castaneda? He had an incredible game last match, and he did a fantastic job. We praised him throughout the week and even leading in the pregame. And, it was definitely a tactical decision to start Conrad in this game. And you have to wonder what Matt Alashar is thinking about whether or not we want to put Ethan into the game.
Detroit Imperial up 5 goals currently. Kleppel trying to dig into that margin. His shot is blocked. Coastal Wells, Abu Shaban, both there. All right, here is Blanco. He's triple teamed, somehow gets out of it, finds Elijah Vu, back of the net, goal number 1 for Lansing City.
Well, we talked about the technical skill, and that's exactly what Matt Alashari was talking about right there. Sandro made that goal all by himself. What a great move, great possession, great pass. He put it into a place where Elijah Vu could do nothing but put it to the back of the net.
5-1 Detroit Imperial, still up by 4. Long way to go for Lansing City if they want to try to get back in this one on the score line. Can Vu do anything about it here? No, he can't. Conrad Gonzalez forced to come out and kick that one away. Oh, Kleppel inside the arc, finds Elijah Vu looking for the far post. Velasquez was there. He let it go by, but he was in the right position. Man, look at how close that arc is to that half line. I mean, you can get from the arc to the half line in 3 strides.
Yeah, it's one of the things that we talked about last time we watched Olay play here, is that the play happens so fast. You're just a couple of dribbles and you're on goal.
Certainly not what Lansing City is used to seeing. Detroit Imperial taking full advantage with this 5-1 lead.
Yeah, it's one of the things that is really difficult for Lansing City because they're not used to playing on a court this size at all, and it really breaks up their rhythm offensively. They're not able to maintain possession. They're not able to work the ball around. They're not able to make the runs that we're used to seeing.
Here is Kleppel after he stole it from Wells. Couldn't get past Velasquez as he comes up with another save for them. Lansing City deep in their territory. Barney gets it, turns, loses it. Imperial the other way. They're careless with it, and it's going to be a Lansing City kick-in, kind of in the corner kick area. Ball comes to Kleppel at the point. Daughtry faces him up. Rolls it back to Barney. Left foot strike, stopped. I believe that was Pellick on the stop. Here comes Kleppel. Toe poke. Save Velasquez.
And once again, he's almost out of the penalty area, coming out to make the save. He's cutting down those angles, and he's doing a good job. It's a risky decision to make, but he's coming out on the right side of it so far.
If you're just tuning in, we had some troubles with the scoreboard early on, so this time may not be correct here. In fact, I'd probably say it's probably not correct. Kleppel goes down, fouled by Andrew Pellick. He didn't like the call.
And that's our first foul tonight. It's been a really clean game. Especially with a tight court, you'd anticipate seeing more fouls.
That looks like he made a slide there and clipped Kleppel in the leg. Barney on the far side, trying to find some space, not able to get any. And that's going to lead us to our first timeout of the match, called by Detroit Imperial.
It's interesting that Pierce would call a timeout there for Detroit Imperial. You know, he must not have liked what he's seen as far as Lansing City getting some of the momentum back here recently, even though they're not necessarily putting the ball in the back of the net. They're creating a lot of opportunities, and, you know, they've hit the post a couple of times. But so far, up to this point, Detroit Imperial has really been dominating this game.
You know, perhaps Coach Brannigan was thinking he's got a very small bench, give his players a little bit of rest here before we get into halftime. You know, that can definitely be a factor for them in this game tonight. It's a great time to let you know about our sponsor for the game tonight. Tonight's match is sponsored by Ally Marketing. If you're looking for a teammate in the marketing space, Ally Marketing might be the business for you. Web design, social media, graphics, logos, anything that has to do with telling the story of your business. This is Ally Marketing's business. So if you want to learn more about how to become friends with Ally Marketing, go to allymarketing.us. That's ALLY marketing.us. Ally Marketing is the official marketing partner of the FCS. Oh, can we have a quick one here? Velasquez, another point blank save. He has to make another one as Conrad Gonzalez took his own chance.
He did. And, you know, Jeremy Kleppel had a great opportunity there, but once again, Emerson Velasquez coming off the line and being incredibly aggressive to stop that shot.
Gonzalez all the way up into the half of Imperial. We're going to have a restart through the hands of Velasquez. Here is Daughtry. Owen Daughtry stopped by David Saltzman. He's immediately met by Andre Pellick. Saltzman looking for Elijah Vu. It's not there. Imperial now looking to get out of their defensive zone. Ball into the pivot. It's not there. Kleppel in a quick double team. Barney gets out of there. Vu 1v1. Toe poke. Side net. Goal number 2, Lansing City.
Wow, and you can see the Kleppel effect in full effect right there. We had multiple defenders converging on him, and it really created the space for Vu, so Barney was able to find Vu running into space. So great communication, great awareness, and taking advantage of the Kleppel effect.
And again, Drew Barney playing a critical role in that. His movement off the ball, on the ball after he was able to take that touch and burst into the space, finding Elijah Vu. Very key in that play to get the second goal for Lansing City as David Saltzman puts the ball right across net. No one at the back post.
We didn't have a back post run there, and you have to wonder why not? Because that was a fantastic move, fantastic effort, great pass if somebody would have been there.
Kind of feeling that you're getting from this game is we might have a lot of numbers up on that scoreboard. 7 goals already in this match. We're still in the first half. We don't have confirmation exactly how much time is remaining. The score clock on that we're showing you guys right now was not in sync with the one that is there. But certainly somewhere in this probably 2 to 3 minutes remaining in the half if I had to guess. Ooh, Detroit Imperial. Just a couple of meters from the goal was Pellick. He was trying to get a hat trick. He's probably wishing that he would have hit that one just a little bit cleaner.
Yeah, he's found himself in some really great positions tonight, and he finds himself in another one right here.
Costa Wells this time for Imperial. And a wild one coming from number 20. That might be Robert Newman. Just make it a guess because we don't have number 20. There's a couple of numbers that didn't translate from Detroit Imperial to our roster sheet. So now here comes Lansing City. Robeson and Elijah Vu. Velasquez
and
again
once
coming
again,
out.
Velasquez,
And
man.
I think he has to. I mean,
He
especially
does,
on
he
this
does.
court. I think this is a marker, and we can talk about this more at half, but I think this is a marker of a really intelligent futsal goalkeeper because how many times has that saved Detroit Imperial tonight, him coming out?
Do we have a goal there?
Possibly. Didn't see it on cam. Looks like Velasquez is getting it out of the back of the net. I think it came off the foot of Kleppel.
Yeah, can we see that again? It looks like Kleppel with a rocket.
Yeah.
We don't see it going to the back of the net, but we can see Conrad celebrating. Kleppel with another outstanding effort. You know, and that's the thing. Velasquez is playing out of his mind right now, and Lansing City's only down by 2.
Lansing City, after going down 5, they have 3 unanswered goals to their name now as we near the end of the first half. Oh, it's Alessandro Blanco. We saw him have an amazing assist earlier in the match today, making an impact. First time on the court this season for Lansing City. And he takes a shot collected by Velasquez. And I got to tell you, I've been very impressed by Velasquez, just how he hung on to that. How many keepers have we seen in the FCS just deflect that one or try to hang on, as we saw in the Jenga match, and they're not able, it results in a goal.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about him time and time again in this match in Lansing. He did a phenomenal job. They lost by several goals, and he played injured for most of the game. But it was just a really one of the best defensive efforts from a goalkeeper we've seen all season, and he's reproducing tonight.
Slightly different form. We're seeing him come out a lot in this small court is key. Nyasaba and Robeson, they got past Velasquez. I think that was John Hollowell that was back tending to the net.
You have to wonder, why did Nyasaba not take the first touch shot there? That was an incredible pass from Robeson, and it should have been in the back of the net.
That's a tough one. I mean, the way how fast futsal goes, you kind of don't have a clear shot on goal. You have a defender who's coming or in the way. You want to try to hold on to it to get a little bit better of a chance. And in that case, maybe it wasn't the best call.
Yeah, the way Velasquez is playing tonight, they're going to have to take their shots early and often, because if they give him time to get in position or to adjust, he's going to make the save.
He's been making lots of saves tonight. Something that I think you have to, from the Detroit Imperial viewpoint, I think you have to be aware of how many saves he's making, because in the last game, he literally got injured because of all. I mean, I mean, I don't know if you can say because of all the shots, but it was on a shot, he had faced. I mean, he had faced, I think, 30 shots in the first half. Actually, I shouldn't say that because I don't know that number off the top of my head, but I know it was a lot of shots, and they got to be thinking sustainability, reliability for him to be making all these saves in the game. They don't want him to be in a position to get injured again.
Yeah, and we're going to see a lot more shots. Lansing City's already up to 25 shots tonight.
Well, camera gets run into. I think that was Abushaban who made contact there to try to get some things set back up and get some stability in our camera. Costa Wells with it now. Trying to do a give and go. Nothing there. Robeson now the other way. Couldn't see what happened, but based on the reactions, probably over the end line in the hands of Velasquez as both teams make a substitution. Now Imperial threatening. Shot blocked by Kleppel. Follow up. Not there. Andriy Pelik continuing to put on the pressure. He's got 2 goals to his name already. As we mentioned earlier, the scoreboard software that we're using was not in sync with the score time that is currently there. So even though the score clock says quad zeros here, there still is more time remaining in half number one. You got to think it's going to be under 5 minutes at this point. I think my last estimation was incorrect. So I'm probably just going to say it's under 5 minutes. The rest of this half, I think that's probably what I'm going to stick with because that's my best guess.
We're close to the end of the half. We could say we're close.
I think we are. But I said that before, so we'll see. 5-3, Detroit Imperial with the lead. Emerson Velasquez, a huge impact in this one for Detroit Imperial. Goalkeeper with the lime green shoes. There's Robert Newman on the near side. He finds his way into the middle, and the shot goes wide. Did it take a deflection? I believe so. Saltzman's confused. But Costa Wells is going to trot over and set up a corner for Detroit Imperial.
And let's see if Lansing City can get set in good positioning, because last corner they were able to score a goal on with some poor positioning from Lansing City.
Ball comes up to the point, quickly over to Pellick at the top of the arc. And with this small court, how quickly the ball can go up near the half line and over to the top of the arc so fast. Little scoop there from number 16. Also not on our sheet. Here is Costa Wells playing with Newman. Ball goes back to Velasquez. He plays direct. Costa Wells looking to flick it on over in front of goal to Pellick. That connection not there. Here comes Lansing City. Drew Barney on the far side. Not able to get by the defenders. Ball goes out of bounds. Keeper restart. Not long left in this first half. Elijah Vu, save from Velasquez. Saltzman comes out sliding. He's going to get whistled, and he is hot. He did come in sliding. Let's see.
And did he get the ball? Because that's really the question is whether or not Saltzman got the ball. If he got the ball, it's a clean tackle, but it looks like he might not have gotten the ball. It's really tough to see with the angle that we have. Again, talking about the angles are the most important for understanding the right call in that situation. If he didn't get the ball, I'm actually surprised that he didn't see a caution there.
He might have. And we were looking at the replay. Mm-hmm. I'm guessing that the referee issued a caution in that case. If he determined that he did not get the ball, I think that's a clear caution. You know, it was hard to tell. We had a player in the way to see that. So regardless, referee made the call. This is what it is. Lansing City, I think, is a very good chance they score on that play if the referee doesn't blow his whistle. But it could have been a foul, so this is what we have. Imperial the other way.
But once again, on that play, a really tremendous effort from Velasquez because he came out to stop the sure goal from Elijah Vu. Vu was one-on-one against the goalie, free, and Velasquez comes outside of the penalty area to make the stop. And is that a goal from Costa Wells?
Yeah, Costa Wells puts another one away for Detroit Imperial, his second of the match.
And once again, we just poor positioning to let him go free. You know, it's one of the things. This is Sandro's first game with Lansing City, and he was caught out right there defensively.
He was a key part of their first goal of the match, showing tremendous technical ability in an assist. And in this case, he lost his man, and Wells got a 1v1 and put it away.
And it's one of the things we talk about with the court size. When you think about these set pieces, not only the corner kick, but just a kick in, so quickly the flow of action can go from just a easy quick in the opponent's half or in their own half defensively. All of a sudden, it's a shot on goal for a breakaway.
Here is Drew Barney for Lansing City. He's got space, left foot strike, 2 defenders collapse. Abdu Al-Gabri is there. I think that's probably our number 16. Barney gets it again, back to goal. I believe that's Robert Newman on the defense. A shot coming from Pellick, still trying to sniff out his hat trick, but denied by Conrad Gonzalez. And here is Pellick. He goes back to Wells. I was looking inside for Newman. Newman gets around one. Nice little touch there.
Yeah, it was. And, you know, Lansing City's still putting that high press on, so they're doing everything they can to put the pressure on Detroit Imperial.
Nice 1-2 from Lansing City to get some space. Vu goes down. Robeson calling for a foul. Lansing, his teammates also calling for a foul. Nothing given.
Yeah, it looked like a pretty clean tackle there, but a fantastic pass by Josh Robeson.
Ball over the top from Wells. Robeson got it. Not on the same page as Vu, and he kicks it right out of bounds. 6-3, Detroit Imperial on top. Our score clock not in sync with the one there. We should be.
And we have been close to half for a while. So I'm starting to wonder if maybe they didn't start the in-house clock as well for a while. So maybe we're getting a little extra action here.
I mean, I would highly doubt that. I think the way that our score clock here was running, it just wasn't quite running right. Running right.
I will say this.
Kleppel was running right there.
As he was running right. One of the things that's really hard to do on these short courts is to keep the clock accurately.
Looks like maybe
17 seconds?
3:17, 2:17 maybe.
So every time the ball goes out of play in futsal, the clock stops. And the fact that no team can maintain possession for more than 5-10 seconds, the clock stops an immeasurable amount of times on these small courts. So I had the opportunity to keep track.
Deflection from Kleppel. I think that took a couple deflections, but he's going to get his second one of the match. Oh, that came off the number 14, Ahmed Abushaban. Will go down as a goal from Kleppel.
Yeah, and we've talked about this many times. Kleppel's a threat anywhere on the court, and Velasquez was just not ready for that deflection to come through.
And that goal coming right at the end of half. Number 1. So at halftime, it's a 6-3 score line. And before we go to break, Gerard, 6-4, excuse me. 6-4 score line. Before we go to break, Gerard, 10 goals.
It's
in
a
the
lot of
first
goals.
half.
Yeah, that is a lot of goals. Honestly, I was not expecting this. I was not anticipating to see this. It's one of the things, and you brought this up a number of times, that Lansing City throughout the course of the year has typically been caught off guard with some of these counterattacks and find themselves sometimes not in the best defensive positions when they lose possession. And that has happened a number of times tonight. We've had a couple of set pieces that turn into quick, easy goals for them, a couple of steals in the backcourt, quick, easy goals. And when you think about just those 4 goals right there off of 2 steals in the back and those 2 set pieces, it's like how can they find themselves in better positions defensively?
We're going to have more thoughts for halftime in our halftime show. Coming up right after the break, we're going to send you to our sponsors. This is the Futsal Champions Series on FCS Live. Don't go anywhere.
Committing a crime so you can try to escape from prison. Bad idea. Go into the pod escape room to play an escape game with your friends. Great idea. Test your skill as an astronaut in outer space. Find Santa in Save Christmas. Or take a vacation to an abandoned island. Just don't get stuck there. The Pod Escape Room. Learn more at thepodlansing.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to today's Futsal Champions Series match between Detroit Imperial and Lansing City in Canton, Michigan. I'm Jared Klepp along with Gerard Escani here in the studio in Lansing, the FCS Live studio. We're bringing you today's match currently at the halftime break. Detroit Imperial is on top 6-4. And Gerard, this game, it has some pretty big implications for the postseason.
It definitely does. This is a game that Detroit Imperial has to win, and they have come out with a level of intensity that we haven't really seen from them in a while.
We're going to talk a little bit more about that, but first, let's take a look at the standings just so you guys can see this for yourselves right in front of you. This is where we stand right now. I do believe we have Midwest United with 13 points here, so that's the only difference. But right now we're looking at the 4th and the 5th team down. Lansing City, Detroit Imperial, both with 9 points, both with 3 wins and 4 losses in their 7 matches played, Gerard.
Yeah, when we look at this and you see Lansing City and Detroit Imperial sitting on 9 and Jenga at 12, one of the biggest call-outs here is Midwest at 0. They have some new players coming to them for the next run of games, and if depending on how they play and how they show up and the quality they can bring, at this point in the season, they've been a free 3 points for any team that they played. So we're counting on there being some difference makers out of that. Otherwise, it's going to be a guaranteed 3 for Lansing City and Jenga, and that's why Detroit Imperial has to take points away today, because when you give 3 points to Lansing City, 3 to Jenga, right off the bat, that's going to make it really hard for Imperial to get into the playoffs.
And their 2 next games are going to be away at Grand Rapids Olay, and then I believe they're home against Midwest United. So this is, both teams can make it into the playoffs if they don't win this game. It's going to be much harder for Detroit Imperial if they don't win this game. For Lansing City, if they don't win this game, they will have a chance to, still. Both teams will, but it'll be much easier for them to get there than for Detroit Imperial. So that's where we're at. But the game today that we saw, Gerard, we saw 5 goals right out of the gate for Detroit Imperial, and that's how we started this game.
Yeah, it was definitely not the start that Lansing City wanted, and it's one of the things that Matt Alishari talked about was how will the team show up on this really small court, and it's not something that they're used to playing on. And it really showed early in the game. They did settle down. They had some really great opportunities. They hit the post 3 times, and we talked about that. And so it's not like they weren't getting opportunities early. They just weren't finishing them. But really the standout of the first half is Emerson Velasquez.
Oh, yeah, Emerson Velasquez for sure. I mean, if I had to pick one thing about this game today in the first half that's made the biggest difference, it's Emerson Velasquez and the comparison of the goalkeepers on both sides. In this small court, we're seeing a lot of action on the goalkeepers. We're seeing a lot of kind of 1v keeper scenarios even, and Emerson is making those saves. And we're not seeing the same kind of saves from Conrad Gonzalez.
No, and it's really about positioning. And so we've talked about this during the game. There's some risky moments for Velasquez, but he's making incredible quality of decisions. So he is attacking, he is aggressive, and he's understanding where he needs to be. So there's been a number of times where if he doesn't make the save, it's a for sure goal, right? Whether it's a pass. So he comes out, and he came outside of the arc for a 1v1 with Elijah Vu, and he made a fantastic steal and took a breakaway, and he forced the foul on David Saltzman.
And that's the kind of play that we've been seeing from Velasquez all game long. He's being very aggressive. He's coming out, even out of his arc many times, in situations where you think the goalkeeper is going to stay closer to his line, let his defenders try to get in the way and block. He's coming out, and he's making that angle smaller, and it is a risk, but on this small court, I think it's the right call, and I think it's a marker of a futsal goalkeeper that has experience in the game, that has knowledge of the game, and this is not something that we see from really any of the goalkeepers thus far, including Michael Forbes in the FCS this year.
So look, before the game, there was a quote on the screen that said Michael Forbes was the best in FCS, and I said that, right? But this first half, that was the best defensive goalkeeping we have seen all season in the FCS, hands down.
I don't think I can disagree with that. He played phenomenal, and he certainly has been the difference in this one. Lansing City trailed by 2. Detroit Imperial, 6 goals. Lansing City with 4. Detroit Imperial did have, there was one particular one, I believe it was Andriy Pelech that had a miss that could have made it 7. And Lansing City has had, they've given away probably 2 or 3 of those goals. But I think the other ones have come from, Lansing City has had probably just as many chances, maybe more, but Emerson has come up with a save, whereas Gonzalez hasn't. Kind of makes me wonder, do you think we're going to see Ethan Castaneda? I mean, I was kind of surprised that he didn't start today's match. Are we going to see him in the half number 2 for Lansing City?
That's what I think, that we have to see him. Like that. It's one of the things when you think about what is Velasquez doing that Conrad's not, and it's that aggressiveness coming out of the goal, and that's what Ethan does, right? We see that from Ethan time and time again. Early in the season, his decision quality wasn't the best of knowing when to come out or how to attack the right way. And if he's sitting on that bench and he's watching Emerson and he's taking notes, if anything, I would want to see him in the goal for Lansing City in the second half, and to see him emulate that, because that's what he does. That's the style of play that he does anyway. And so it would be really great to be able to see head-to-head who could stop who with this continual pressure that we continue to see from each team.
We're going to bring you back courtside for the second half here as we get set. Detroit Imperial up 2 goals as we begin half number 2. A quick shot from Kleppel, Robeson playing off of each other. Having some interruption in our feed here, so we apologize in advance as we work out some of these technical difficulties.
And it does look like Conrad Gonzalez is still in goal for Lansing City. So no change of the goalkeeper. Let's see if they've made any tactical changes. But honestly, as far as the last 5 to 7 minutes of the first half, Lansing City did really pick it up another notch. And, they were down 5-0 and they came back. So for the second part of that first half, they won the scoreline of 4-1. So if I'm Matt Alashari, what I'm thinking is that the plan's working. We just need to stick to it. It's too early to make changes.
Josh Robeson kicking this one in for Lansing City.
And, this is more of the same of what we saw in the first half, and we've been talking about the court size and how it impacts it. Over the last 30 seconds of the game, all we've seen is ball go kicked in, out of play, kicked in, out of play, kicked in, out of play. No possession, no movement. And it's really, in a lot of ways, like you've talked about on the third half, it's not really the same game that we're used to seeing from really either of these teams.
Close to Wells taking the kick in on the near side. They're going to win another kick in. He has a strike. Kleppel's going to win it. Velasquez comes up. Wells thought he got held there.
Well, it's funny because Wells thought he was held, but I was wondering if we were going to see a foul called against Wells because it looked like he was holding Jeremy Kleppel.
No call from the referee. Play restarts in the back for Detroit. Saltzman on the ground along with Gonzalez. Kleppel dispossessed. Robeson, Gonzalez come to the rescue.
Oh, it's a fantastic effort from Josh Robeson as well to be there to support Conrad Gonzalez. And we got a shot on goal from Costa Wells.
Lansing City now building out of the back. Elijah Vu gets by 1.
And it's definitely a lot more physical to start this second half. No fouls called, but, you can see the physicality is going up a notch Right there, look, Coastal Wells holding Jeremy Kleppel, no call. They played advantage, so it looks like we're going to get accumulated foul there.
Yep, rolling foul for Detroit Imperial. Basically, that means in the case of advantage, as we're going to see again here, Coastal Wells just kind of turns around and grabs Kleppel for a moment. Advantage, play goes on, but it is a foul that counts to the tally. So a rolling foul for Detroit Imperial. That's going to be the first foul of the second half and their first foul as well.
And you can see there, both teams have really raised the level of physicality. If we continue to see that, we might be seeing some PKs here tonight.
I think it probably took about 7 or 8 minutes for the first foul in the first half, and in this time it's just a 1 or 2 minutes here.
Yeah, it's hard to say how long that first foul took, but it felt like it was a really clean first half.
Yeah.
And we didn't see that increase in physicality that we would see, especially from Detroit Imperial. That's something that time and time again we see from them, even sometimes maybe some of the loss of composure, which is why Davide DePoce is not here tonight.
DePoce on that red card suspension for violent conduct in the previous game. Now Robeson, ball across goal. Wow. And Alessandro Blanco nearly got his second goal of the match. His first goal.
Yeah, he was there, but it just looks like he just missed it. But, Kleppel with a great pass. And Elijah Vu just not able to finish, kicks the ball wide.
That's a tough one for Lansing City.
And Jeremy Kleppel was frustrated with Elijah Vu right there. That's not one that you see him miss often.
Elijah Vu had 4 goals the last time they played Detroit Imperial. He's got 2 tonight. Here is Pellick. He's working in the back with, I think that's number 14, Ahmed Abushaban. John Hallowell also there. They're going to make a substitution as Coastal Wells plays the ball in. Long diagonal opening up the court. Here's Andre Pellick. Blanco takes it away. Kleppel to Vu. He's got Robeson with him. Takes a left-footed strike. Blocked by Velasquez. He lets it bounce safely into his arc before he collects. Oh, Coastal Wells did not like that one. Don't know how good. Don't know how much volume you guys are getting at home from the on-court, but I think he had a few choice words in that case.
Yeah, he was not happy with the way that turned out.
I think we're seeing Ahmed Abderrahman for the first time tonight.
And that's a little bit of miscommunication there with Elijah Vu and Conrad Gonzalez. Elijah Vu was shielding the ball, but Conrad didn't come out to pick it up. Luckily, he was able to get there just in the nick of time before Detroit Imperial could take advantage.
Just moments ago, we saw Alessandro Blanco double-teamed in the corner. He actually kind of got out of it, surprisingly. We've seen some technical ability from him tonight. So here comes Conrad Gonzalez up the court. Not quite on the same page as Robeson, but Robeson gives him a thumbs up.
Yeah, so there's a couple of players in this league that have shown some incredible technical skills. And from what I'm hearing early on, Sandro is in that same conversation. Alessandro Blanco is.
Abderrahman forcing goalkeeper Conrad Gonzalez to come out of net and clear that one away.
But it's interesting. That's one of the first times we've seen Conrad come out that far, and that's what we wanted to see more of.
Naya Saba takes it away from Pellick, has his own strike on goal, and Emerson comes up with another save. Ooh, Kleppel's ball coming across the middle, untouched.
Yeah, and it looked like
always going to be called out of bounds before it happens.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but even with that, Blanco was in the right position for that back post run. It's curious that it didn't even look like he made an attempt on the ball.
Here comes Pellick. Sandro's there. Alessandro Blanco, number 11 for Lansing City. First time we've seen him in action this year. Goes by Sandro. And I believe he's from
Cuba.
From Cuba. Originally from Cuba.
Originally from Cuba. I was trying to do some research before the game, as there's speculation that he might have even played for the national team at some point.
There's also speculation that he might have the best hair on the Lansing City squad. Kleppel is fouled, and he hits the deck. Costa Wells stepping in, clear foul there. Lansing City with a free kick in a dangerous area.
Jared, there's no speculation about it. He has the best hair.
He has the best hair. Gerard has said it. Here's Kleppel. Slams it right into the two-man wall. I think that was Pellick that took the brunt of that. Now here is Kleppel again, hopping down the sideline. Back post for Nyasaba.
Last time these two teams played, when they had a free kick like that, Kleppel slammed it into the wall, and then the second time they had one shortly thereafter, they had a beautiful set piece that was mimicking him kicking it in, and he had a little distribution. Let's see if they get another opportunity if they do something similar, if he's setting up that play to the back post.
Foul number 3 against Detroit Imperial. Lansing City in a dangerous area. Sandro goes down. Are they going to say that was outside of the arc? He's right there on the line. Yes, outside of the arc.
And is that the 4th foul now already?
4 fouls on Detroit Imperial this half, none on Lansing City. And no goals yet. It's still 6-4.
We just talked about this with the way that they set up for the set piece. Let's see if Kleppel takes advantage. You can see Nyasaba's on the back post right now. Let's see how this plays out.
Costa Wells is hanging out there. Here comes Kleppel. He goes to Sandro. Sandro across goal. How did that one not find its way into the back of the net? Lansing City so close yet again here in half number 2. They trail by 2 goals. And they're putting the pressure on Detroit Imperial. Costa Wells and Imperial trying to break out of the high pressure. They do. They get possession in the attacking half.
It has to make you wonder if Pierce Brannigan was listening to us on the stream to be ready for that play from Kleppel, because he set it up with the direct kick into the wall, and they had a fantastic effort right there, but Sandro just could not finish.
I think that one should have been finished by Lansing City, but it wasn't. They've had a couple of those this half. Detroit Imperial had an easy one earlier in the game in the first half that they probably should have finished. Whistle from the official. I think he was not on the same page as Nyasaba as far as where.
It looks like it's a corner.
Yeah, officially a corner into that all the way down there where the end line and the touch line meet. So we're going to do that one more time. Ball comes inside, bounces off Vu, and something's happening. Imperial having some words, really just kind of some shouts. I don't know if they thought something was a handball or what, but now it's a 1v keeper. Saltzman's there. He can't quite do it, and Detroit Imperial tack on another one.
And that's really the difference in this game, and we talked about it at halftime. Right here, this is an opportunity for Conrad to come out and clear that ball away and just be aggressive and commanding in that situation. But there's a little bit of hesitation, and it allows them to get the 2v1. Saltzman made an outstanding effort to get back on there, but he deflected the ball but was not able to deflect it out of the goal.
Abdou Al-Gabri with the goal. I think that's his second of the night.
And it does look like we have some discussion going on here with the officials. It's slightly off camera, so we can't see exactly what's going on. If I were to postulate what's happening, I would imagine there's some fans potentially on the sideline there, potentially obstructing play. Well, it could be our suspended player potentially as well. Looks like a little bit of a conversation with head coach Pierce Brannigan as well.
Costa Wells chatting with Jeremy Kleppel. We saw David Saltzman in that last play get in net almost as if he was a keeper trying to make a save there without his hands. He actually spent a long time in the goalkeeper position in futsal before transitioning to a court player just a couple of years ago.
He did, and it's one of the things that I'm curious why we don't see him more as a goalkeeper, especially as like an attacking fifth option out there, because he has the experience of a goalkeeper, and his just ball skills are incredible. His positioning's incredible.
There he is.
Literally as we're talking about it, he knows we're talking about him.
How does he know?
But it's one of the things that I like to see from time to time. Love to see when they fly the keeper, and I would imagine he would probably be one of the best in the league at it if they put him back there. Lansing City hasn't necessarily had any moments where they've been completely out of a game that they really needed that aggressive fifth attacking option. But, it'd be fun to see.
And for what I've seen, anytime Lansing City does choose to put a fifth attacker on the court, put someone in the goalkeeper jersey in the goalkeeper position, have them fly up the court in intent to attack, they do put David Saltzman in that orange jersey. We have not seen them do it this year, I don't think. And I do see Conrad Gonzalez on the bench.
Oh, it looks like Ethan Castaneda is making his first appearance in the game tonight. And, that is a situation, that last goal for Detroit Imperial, that's the type of play that Ethan has time and time again shown some really great understanding. Like, that's where his growth has been, in my opinion, as a goalkeeper throughout the season, of understanding when to come out and how to come out and to be aggressive. And it's one of the things that Emerson Velasquez has done at such a high level tonight, and we just didn't see it. And that really is just kind of the difference in skill level from Conrad Gonzalez to Ethan Castaneda.
David Saltzman, if you can hear me, tell me what's going on, because I have no clue. I think all fans at home are wondering what's going on. Everyone's looking to the left. That is where I'm kind of hearing some yelling a little bit. I don't know. We're not on site, so we're seeing exactly what you're seeing, hearing exactly what you're hearing at home, and that's going to be it. Whatever was going on has been solved. Lansing City with a very quick ball up the court to Kleppel. He takes a shot. It's going to go over the end line. Velasquez now all the way up the court. Right out of bounds. And here is Ethan Castaneda in goal for Lansing City.
Yeah, and he loves that aggressive distribution too, so look for more of that when we get trying to advance the ball up the court as fast as possible.
Detroit Imperial with a 3-goal advantage and also a 4-foul disadvantage?
Yeah.
Is that what you would call it?
They have been really aggressive in this second half, and the officials are putting it to them with these fouls. It's one of the things that we noticed early, that the physicality had gone to a different level. But Detroit Imperial has been caught a number of times, and they have been called for the physicality. When you think about how that plays into the game in futsal, starting with the 6th foul, Lansing City would get PKs.
It would be a 6-foul penalty taken from the 10-meter mark. You can see that little dot that is away from the top of the arc. That is the 10-meter penalty spot. Every foul after 5 fouls. So the 6th foul, 7th foul, any other fouls committed by either team or the team that has accumulated those fouls would result in a penalty from that position.
Yeah, and it is really early in the game to be sitting on 4 fouls. And especially with whatever just happened, emotions have to be running high in the arena tonight.
Seems like Kleppel just kind of gets pushed to the ground. Saltzman. Abushaban was also not happy with what was going on. No call from the officials. 13 minutes to go in this one. Lansing City trails 4-7. Velasquez just has to put that one out of bounds as he was under heavy pressure. Lansing City will take over in the attacking half. Kleppel at the point, couple step overs, gets around one, gets to the back post after a couple of deflections. It's a tough one to handle if you're Elijah Vu.
Yeah, it's hard to fault him right there because that got deflected twice into him.
I don't know if you guys are hearing this at home, but every time we hear a shot coming from Kleppel, it gets blocked, and it's this resounding echo in this building. It's like a warehouse kind of a feel. Just know that there's so much power coming from those shots of Kleppel. Robeson looking inside. Vu goes down. Kleppel goes down. No whistles.
Well, as someone once said, Jeremy Thunder Thighs Kleppel has the leg that can put the ball really anywhere into the back of the net from anywhere in the court. What I'd love to see is a radar gun so we could see how fast he hits that ball.
That certainly would be interesting. Here is Vu, gets a little bit of space. Finds Saltzman. He goes to the back post. It was clean through. I don't think Robeson thought that one was going to make it past the defenders.
That's the third time tonight that we've seen a really clean pass to the back post, and there just was not someone there to receive it.
Detroit Imperial trying to make it out of the heavy pressure of City. Castaneda clears that one out. Kind of felt the pressure getting to him. John Hollowell, looks like he and Andrew Pellick will tag team this one. Long diagonal up the court. Costa Wells. He has it now, pressured by Saltzman. A flick up the court, trying to find Hollowell. The connection not there for Imperial. Robeson, lots of time. His shot blocked by Velasquez.
And once again, Velasquez is understanding positioning and knowing where to be. Oh, and what a goal from Ahmed Abu Shaban.
Again, finding, I think that went between the legs of Ethan Castaneda.
And Costa Wells with the assist there, the long distance assist, at least on this court.
Bouchaban gets his second goal of the night. Detroit double up on Lansing, 8-4. Sandro's going to get called for a foul. I'm not sure what the official saw there. Maybe he saw something I didn't. I know we only have this one camera view, but
well, I did see a little bit of a push. You know, it's not something that I would have thought that would have been called a foul, but there was some extension of the arm.
And especially compared to some of the things that we're seeing get let go in this second half.
Yeah, there does come up a point when one team has 4 fouls and the other has 0 that the officials are starting to be a little bit more maybe over anxious with calling a foul the other way to even things out.
Costa Wells with a near miss on that one.
Not that they ever
high.
should even it out, but, you know, human psychology sometimes comes into play in situations like this.
Halfway through the second half, Detroit Imperial up 4 goals. We started this half 6-4, Detroit in the lead.
And it's really been more of the same that we saw early in the first half with the way that Detroit Imperial is pressing, the counterattack, the quick goals, just really catching Lansing City off guard and out of position defensively.
Looking back post, Robeson tries to keep it in. He is going to win a corner as it goes off of Velasquez.
And Sandro's going to pick up another foul right there, and he does pick up a caution. I was curious if it was. That was a tactical foul for sure right there. If he doesn't stop him going through, that's, you know, Jeremy Kleppel was there, so I don't know if it was necessary, but, you know, it definitely was a tactical foul.
Sandro's going to pick up a caution. Alessandro Blanco in his first game for Lansing City this year. Free kick for Detroit Imperial, just a couple meters inside the half line.
It's really a play where I would want to trust Jeremy Kleppel more defensively because he had the angle and he's got the speed. Pellick's not going to get away from Jeremy Kleppel like that.
I think maybe Sandro didn't. I think maybe he didn't see where Kleppel was. I think maybe he thought that he was the last opportunity. See what Imperial has drawn up for this one. Nothing comes of it. Nyasaba applying pressure. Saltzman's there too. He goes down. Imperial continue on the attack. 2v2. Third player for both teams coming up. Robeson steals it. He's going the other way. Tries to find Vu. Stolen by Pellick. And this another easy one for Imperial.
Wow.
One too many passes. And Lansing City escapes.
I mean,
thought that was going to be goal number 9.
I almost feel like they didn't want to score right there. Like I don't know what happened. We had 3 different opportunities for somebody to put in the back of the net, but they kept passing it back and forth. It's kind of what we talked about earlier in the game when Nyasaba didn't put the ball into the back of the net, and it's like just the extra pass to get a cleaner look, and it feels like Detroit Imperial is doing the same thing, but they did it 3 times over.
Another stoppage here in play. The official coming over to talk with Castaneda. Looks like we're going to restart. Not sure what that one was about. I think the officials had to confer for a moment.
I mean, they were probably just as confused as we are as how that ball didn't end up in the back of the net.
There he is again. Emerson Velasquez all the way outside the arc. And if you're just joining us or you missed some of this game, that goalkeeper has been the number 1 difference in this game. We usually see Michael Forbes in net for Detroit Imperial, but Emerson Velasquez is between the pipes tonight.
And this is only his 2nd game for them this season.
Only his 2nd match. And he has been playing outstanding. His positioning has been outstanding. And he's just in situations where Lansing City goalkeepers are giving up a goal. Emerson Velasquez is not giving up a goal. And if you had to, with all the factors that go into the game, if you had to point to one thing that's been the heaviest difference in this game, simply that's it.
Yeah, it's undisputable right now, the impact that he's having on the game and the fact that they are winning this game because of him right now.
Costa Wells trying to dribble out of the back on this small Detroit Imperial court in Canton, Michigan. Just under 10 minutes to go in the second half. Imperial with a 4-goal advantage. Ahmed Abderrahman facing a double. Ball squirts out back. Now forward, and that one's going to get by Castaneda as well. Andriy Pellick with his hat trick. Goal number 3 of the half. It's 9-4, Detroit Imperial on top.
And once again, he just finds himself in a really great position to make a play. Pellick, we just talked about Velasquez and the impact he's had on the game. Pellick's had a really great impact as well.
When a whistle, Ahmed Abushaban goes down. Foul count looking a little more even now. Lansing with 3, Detroit with 4. Ball goes back to Velasquez. Toe poke, maybe trying to connect with Costa Wells. You saw him right there on your screen, kind of lifting up his hand as if to say, good look, my fault I wasn't there. Long one, looking for a header from Kleppel. Heads it right into the net behind the goal. And here we go back the other way again. So Lansing City now with a 5-goal deficit, Gerard. What do they need to do to claw their way back into this one?
Yeah, we had talked about it earlier about flying the keeper and getting that 5th attacker. I think that's something that has to be on Matt Alashari's mind right now is at what point do we see David Saltzman in there as a 5th attacker?
And here he is, Saltzman with a toe poke strike. Not only blocked but collected by Velasquez. And that's another thing we've seen him do all night long. is tough shots not just blocked, but held onto, which is huge.
He does a really outstanding job of not only stopping the ball, but of maintaining possession of it as well.
We've seen other goalkeepers in the Futsal Champions Series. So we see, speaking of goalkeepers, Castaneda come out doing well there. But we've seen other goalkeepers in the FCS attempt to hang on to shots that they probably shouldn't and actually give up goals because of it. But tonight, Velasquez, and this one's in the back of the net again. I think it went off of Castaneda.
It did look like an own goal.
Is this one going to go down? Or maybe it was Elijah Vu? Vu or Castaneda. I think it was Vu. That's probably going to go down as an own goal for Elijah Vu. And that brings us to the first time out of the second half. No, maybe not. We've had, it's very interesting, Gerard. We've had several stoppages kind of, it seems like, for no reason. You got to wonder what are these stoppages coming from? It's just kind of extended. And we had one that was pretty extended, and it's all happening off camera. We don't really know what's going on. But this is the second time, the third time this half that we've had some kind of a stoppage that we don't really know what's going on.
Yeah, one of the things that is really difficult with a smaller court is it's a lot easier for things outside the court of play to obstruct the game itself. And as an official, it's really important to stay on top of those different things, especially when you're talking about the safety of the players. We don't want to have fans or bags or debris just outside of the court area. So who knows what the situation is, but maintaining control of the space and the environment and the court is really important as an official.
Timeout called by Lansing City. Reminder for those of you that are watching, if you'd like to connect with us further, feel free to follow the Futsal Champions Series on social media, Facebook and Instagram. If you're watching this video on YouTube, congratulations. This is where we put all of our live games. You can catch FCS live here on the YouTube channel. And also check out the teams of the Futsal Champions Series. Detroit Imperial, Lansing City, 2 of the 6 teams currently in the series. Follow them on the social media channels and help us grow the great game of futsal in the United States. And don't forget about the Third Half podcast on Thursdays.
Yeah, one of the things that's really cool, we're seeing kind of some of the themes and storylines play out in this game. A lot of the topics that we've talked about over the last few weeks. Emerson Velasquez and the impact he had last time they played. It didn't turn out well for Detroit Imperial, but he's bringing the same level of effort, and it's turned out a lot better for them tonight.
Play restarts. Kleppel very frustrated that Nyasaba did not get on the end of that one. And we have seen this half. I think it's worthy of mentioning. We have seen several opportunities for Lansing that were almost were either tap-ins or almost tap-ins that they missed, and they could probably have at least 3 more goals to their name right now.
Yeah, and one of the things that we saw there is typically we have seen a player not be far enough advanced for that back post run, but right there Nyasaba was actually too far advanced for where the pass was. And so it's really just this miscommunication of understanding where to be and when to be there to make that back post run.
7 minutes to go in the second half. Detroit Imperial on a transition counter. Ball's going to run out of bounds before they have a chance to do anything positive with it. Gerard, we talk about this being implications, potentially a win-or-go-home game, more for the Detroit Imperial side than for Lansing. But taking a look, at the standings here right in front of me, it's interesting. Detroit Imperial, if things stand how they are, which we still have a lot of time left. I know 6 goals is a lot to overcome, but in futsal, and especially on a small court, they can go fast. But if things stand how they are, Imperial will have 12 points, Lansing City will have 9. And Imperial, Jinga also with 12 points. They have 1 more game played. We expect them to get more points as they play Midwest in the last game. We'll have more to talk about at the end of the game when it comes to that. But this is a very important game when it comes to qualifying for the playoffs for both these teams.
Yeah, basically both of these teams need to get 6 points to make it into the playoffs out of their last 3 games. Detroit Imperial, they play Midwest and Olay. Those are going to be 2 really tough games. Lansing City plays Midwest, which they dominated them the first time around, and then they play Olay, which was actually a really close game. And so when you think about 6 points for Lansing City out of their next 2 games, it's not unreasonable to assume that they have a really good shot at getting 6 coming out of those 2.
And there is a scenario where both these teams make it in. And we see Jinga miss out on the playoffs. But we still have 6 minutes to go. Detroit Imperial up 10-4. If you're Detroit Imperial, Gerard, do you feel safe with this lead right now?
You know, it's hard to say you feel safe ever with the lead in futsal, but they have to feel really great about the play and the style that they've put in tonight, the way Emerson's playing in goal. Really, a lot of the things they wanted to do tonight they've done, so they have to feel great about that.
Corner kick for Lansing City. Sandro Blanco trying to get that ball into the middle to no avail. Here's Costa Wells playing with John Hollowell in the back for Imperial. Hello again, everybody. Looks like Gerard and I got disconnected from the match. I'm glad that the camera feeds were all good for you all at home. We lost it just for a bit. You saw a few goals happen in our absence, one from Detroit Imperial, two from Lansing City. And the one from Detroit Imperial, who scored that one, Gerard? Did you catch that?
Yeah, it was Costa Wells assisted from Robert Newman. And then I know one of the ones from Lansing City, not both of them. One of them was Elijah Vu assisted from Josh Robeson.
And I believe Elijah Vu had both of them. Is that what you just said?
I don't know who. It looks like Elijah Vu did have both of them.
Yep, he did have both of them. We're getting confirmation that Elijah Vu did have both of those goals. So Lansing City cutting the deficit just a little bit, but Imperial extending it as well. 2.5 to go. It's 11-6. Keep in mind that in the case of a tie for the standings in order to get to the playoffs, the first tiebreaker after, the amount of points you have, obviously. So the first tiebreaker is your goal differential. So this could definitely be a factor as to Lansing City's decision to not fly a keeper, because if they give up easy ones, that goal differential could be, is the first tiebreaker as far as who makes it into the playoffs.
Yeah, that is a great call out. We talked about the difference of importance in this game for Detroit Imperial compared to Lansing City based on who their upcoming opponents are. And it wasn't as much of an essential victory for Lansing City as it was for Detroit Imperial. And one of the things to note, with those 2 goals that Elijah Vu just picked up, he has 4 goals on the night.
A lot of goals to his game once again. He has it here looking for a 5th. And that's not what you want to see out on the futsal court, Gerard.
No, you never want to see somebody get injured. Let's take a look at this replay and see where did that hit him.
Yeah, that's a very hard strike of the futsal ball.
Ooh.
Not
in the area you want to see.
Not in the area for Ahmed Abderrahman.
Yeah, that's painful.
Corner kick from Lansing City. Blocked by Velasquez. He held it there on the goal line just for a moment. One and a half to go in this game. Detroit Imperial on top by 5 goals. Flick to the back post. Saltzman with the header. Not quite there. But you got to love the opportunity.
Yeah, it's really another phenomenal pass from Josh Robeson. Saltzman wasn't able to put it into the back of the net, but just the accuracy with that flick was awesome.
Well, here is Lansing City in the attacking half. Elijah Vu at the point, working with Jeremy Kleppel. Hollowell on him, gets by him, a poke. Turned aside, I should say, by Velasquez, and he's been phenomenal tonight for Detroit Imperial.
Yeah, we really can't say enough great things about him in the game that he's had tonight and the effort he's put in. He's really been their standout performer. It's one of the things that's interesting. Detroit Imperial scored 11 goals, but we're sitting here talking about the impact of the goalkeeper.
Game over. Detroit Imperial 11, Lansing City 6 in a shootout of 17 goals as the teams shake hands. Detroit Imperial get a much-needed 3 points, and for Lansing City, it's a tough loss. Let's take a look at those standings really quickly as well as we talk about the implications of this match, Gerard.
Yeah, one of the things, when we looked at the live standings here, I'm not sure if there's a little bit off here because it had Midwest United at 13 points. They actually have 16. And so when we think about what this says for Detroit Imperial now, they have 12 points. They move into a tie with Jenga FS and Lansing City now is in 5th place by themselves. Lansing City does have the goal differential advantage over both of the teams, though, even with the loss here tonight. And so depending on how these games go, Lansing City has one more game against Midwest, which every team that has played Midwest now has at least scored 9 or more goals. And so we would anticipate them extending that goal differential. Like you said on stream, that's the first tiebreaker for the playoffs.
We'll talk a little bit more about where this puts both the teams at in the table. But first, Gerard, we got to talk about our victory moment presented by the Pod Escape Room. There's nothing like the taste of victory, and I just want to put an edit to the victory moment. We're going to say it's a victory player for tonight. Can we say his name on the count of 3? 1, 2, 3. Emerson Velasquez.
Yeah, so I was curious about this because we've been doing the victory moment, and I was trying to think, like, what was the moment?
It was every time he came out of goal. It was every save that he made.
There's no singular moment for him. It was really the entire match that he just continually really put his stamp on this victory, and he carried them, in so many ways. So they had a lot of great efforts from other players. We saw a hat trick, and even with that, he still stood head and shoulders above everybody else on the court tonight.
And, in contrast on the Lansing City side, there was a lot to be desired out of the goalkeeper play for them, both from Gonzalez and Castaneda.
Yeah, and, it's one of the things that the small court really played into that aggressive mentality as a goalkeeper. And Conrad Gonzalez, as much as there's the ability to, and we talked about like his agility and his ability to like have cat-like reflexes on the line and like in the penalty area, he's not someone that's known for coming out of the arc or out of that penalty area to really put his stamp on the game. And Emerson Velasquez did that all night consistently.
And he actually did it in a way that we haven't even seen all season long. As we welcome you into our studio here in Lansing post-game, Jared Kleppel, Gerard Iscani with FCS Live as we wrap this one up. You got a few stats for us, Gerard?
Yeah, we got some stats. And so Velasquez ended up with 24 saves on the night.
Wow.
And when you think about the number of shots, Kleppel ended up with 29.
Wow.
And so, that's something that we see time and time from him. But Lansing City had 63 shots.
Wow.
And of those 63, 24 saves by Velasquez. And you think about how many times not only did he get a save, but did he come out, like he stopped a goal from Elijah Vu by coming out and stealing the ball from him, right? And then he drew a foul from David Saltzman when he started the attack. And so one of the things to note, Elijah Vu did have 4 goals, which even with the loss, it was good to see him get on the score sheet again.
He gets 5 if you count the own goal.
Yeah, and he gets 5 if you count that one. And then Pellick had a hat trick, right? Costa Wells had a great game. He had 3 goals as well, so he had a hat trick and an assist. And so there were a couple of assists for Detroit Imperial that we couldn't catch just from the camera work. It was kind of hard to see. So they had a corner and a kick-in that there were assists on, but we couldn't see who took those set pieces. And so all around, a really phenomenal effort from Detroit Imperial, and they took advantage of the court size.
They did. I think we talked about that a lot. I don't know if you have been tuning into the Third Half podcast on Thursdays, listening to our pre-game, our halftime. We've talked a lot about court size. And I think, watching this game, it's very clear why we talk about court size, because it is a huge factor. I mean, you saw even just the level of comfortability. I think there's a lot of times where Detroit Imperial just looks way more comfortable on that court. And just the amount of chances, right? Like Lansing City on the big court, they generate a lot of chances. On a small court, they generate a lot of chances. But going the other way, there's a lot more chances that I think, we saw Imperial generate here on the small court versus the first time they played them in Lansing.
Yeah, one of the opportunities for Lansing City throughout the season has been those quick turnovers or quick transition moments where their defense just is caught off guard or isn't in position to defend. And with a small court, every time that happened tonight, it was an opportunity on goal instantly. So we saw Pellick do that a number of times. He had a quick steal in the back court and goal. Right, quick steal. He almost had a goal. He missed the easy shot. And so you think about time and time again, Detroit Imperial put that pressure on him, created the turnover, and put the ball into the back of the net.
And I want to take a moment just to point out where this puts the teams on the table. I'm going to check with our producer, see if we have that graphic for the standings. I know we had one earlier. It might not have been all the way updated, but that's okay. Whatever we got, if we have that graphic, can you go ahead and throw that up? Because I want to see. Yeah, here we go. Oh, the FCS Live is right in front of the points.
Perfect.
But hey, that's okay.
Well, so right
we
there,
know Ole has 16 points.
and Midwest does as well, because we are missing their last victory on this sheet right here. And so Midwest and Grand Rapids both are sitting on 16 points.
And that does put them into the playoffs, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Because Jinga has one game left, so the max they can get is 15. And Midwest has already been eliminated because the max they can get is 15.
Exactly.
So that means Ole and Midwest United, they're already in.
Yep. Yeah, so they have clinched. And Detroit Imperial went a long way tonight to putting their victory dance and celebration into the playoffs as well. So now that they're sitting on 12 points, they still have 2 games left. Jinga has 1. Lansing City's in a tough spot.
Yeah.
They have 2 games. One of them is against Midwest. So from everything that we've seen from Midwest this season, we would anticipate Lansing City running away with that victory, and it's going to come down to their match against Ole.
How about that?
Which the first time they played Ole in Grand Rapids, it was a really tight game.
It was
really
very
tight game, and there were 2 goals that you pointed out that were, fortuitous moments for Grand Rapids that really weren't efforts that they created, and so Lansing City could have easily walked away with the win. So now that they're going to get Grand Rapids at home in Lansing City, that they got a really great shot.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I think for Lansing City, it's going to come down to that last game. Epic finale at home against Grand Rapids Ole, defending champs of the NFPL, and at the top of the standings, haven't lost a game yet. That is an insane way to conclude a season. And for Detroit Imperial, they have no more games against Midwest. They have to play away at Grand Rapids Ole, and they have to play home with Midwest United. So, they have 3 points. If they win one of those games, that puts them in. That would put them at. Would 15. That be at 15? So that would be, and that would tie with Jinga, assuming they beat Midwest. So then you're looking at goal differential, which right now the goal differential is good.
And that's the thing right there that really is the concern for Jinga.
Yeah.
Because they're not a team that scores like all of the other teams. They tend to be more defensive.
Yeah.
Right? And so when you think about if it comes down to goal differential, how do they show up against Midwest? Do they just come out creatively? And
I think you got to, right? If you're going against like Jinga right now, they're sitting at a -4 goal differential.
Mm-hmm.
Lansing City, they started the day at a +25. They lost by, was it 5 today?
Mm-hmm.
So they're at +20, and Detroit Imperial started at +15. So they're also at +20. So Jinga, if they want to make it in, they're probably going to need to bump up that goal differential. You expect Lansing City to have a lot of goals added against the Midwest game. And like you said, we don't know. Like, they had a very top-heavy schedule. They're coming back in at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Are they going to bring some new players? Maybe. We've heard rumors of – I don't know if I'd call them rumors. We've heard just some chatterings going on.
They have
some
had
additions. Because players have to be registered.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we've heard of some registrations that happened. But we don't know. We don't really know anything else. So could they come out? I mean, if they come out and get a win against Jinga, I mean, that would really break things up and would make it way easier for both Lansing City and Detroit Imperial to get there. But I mean, based on what we're seeing in the past, it would be a very difficult challenge for them.
Yeah, it definitely would be. And going into next weekend, we have Lansing City against Midwest. That's going to tell us a lot about how Lansing City can rebound from tonight's game and whether or not they can expand that goal differential that they have currently to where they're at 20 goals. But if they drop 10 on Midwest or more like they did last time, that's going to really open things up.
I think they had 19 in that game it was like a 2 or 1.
I think it was 19-2.
So they put up a lot in that game. And I, honestly, I think that the story about next weekend is, what does the Midwest team look like? We haven't seen them since early December, I think, since they played that 3 games in 3 days. I mean, they're playing 10 games this year in They play 3 games in 3 days. They have one weekend where they play 2 in 2 days. It's like they're playing these games in such a short amount of time. So seeing them back in action, it's going to be interesting. I do believe we actually have information about what games are coming up. So let's see if we can get that up on the screen as well, because
there's one other game.
There's one other game that weekend. Who is it?
Detroit Imperial against Olay in Grand Rapids. And so that's
this
a game.
This one is the old one. This one was the game that we had today. But the 2 games next weekend, Lansing City hosting Midwest, and then it was Olay hosting Imperial.
Yep. Yeah, and so that's going to be a really important game for Imperial, and it will be interesting to see. So Olay just went to Detroit, and they played at Futsal Sala, and it was one of those tales of 2 halves, really, because before the red card to Davide Da Poce, Detroit Imperial was full control of that game, up 3-1. And then after the red card situation and for the rest of the game, Olay controlled the entire pace of the game, and they really dominated in every possible imagination of the game. And so when we think about going to Grand Rapids, playing on a full-size court, we talked about what to expect tonight, so clearly what we might expect isn't going to happen, but I would expect Olay to walk away with a victory next week.
That's going to be a very interesting game. We're going to plan to bring you both those games. They are staggered, I think, enough for us to be able to do both of them. 7 p.m. Lansing City hosting Midwest, 8:30 p.m. Imperial going to Grand Rapids to face Olay. Olay still hasn't lost a game. I do have to say that, we didn't see Davide Da Poce tonight. He had the red card against Grand Rapids Olay just last week. And I think I have to disagree with you a little bit on how that game went. I don't think Imperial was in full control of that game. They did have the advantage in the scoreline, but I think especially on a game that's played on a small court, it was like Olay coming from the bigger court. I don't think they had settled into it yet. They did get multiple goals. I mean, they got a goal off of the one-man advantage after the red card. They got a goal off of other set pieces. I think they had another one-man advantage later in the game. I think there was like a double yellow, or someone got a second yellow, and I think they had a one-man advantage later, and they scored on both of them. The Imperial actually scored shorthanded, if I remember correctly. But I think that on the bigger court, I think Olay has a definite advantage, and what that means is my expectation is that for Lansing City and Detroit Imperial, the 2 teams we saw duke it out tonight, whether they get into the playoffs or not, I think it's going to come down to the very last game of the season for both of them.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a pretty accurate assessment. When we think about both Olay and Midwest, they have proven to be the best team so far this season. They've been the strongest, most consistent teams, and that's why they're sitting on the most points. And so when we look at next week, it's going to tell us a lot about how things play out. But we got a few weeks left, and it's coming down. That last game is, March 8th? March 8th in Lansing.
That could be the one that determines, both on who wins it, but also how many goals are scored. Lansing City could be coming into that game needing a win by a certain amount in order to get a goal differential. So, this is shaping up to be a very interesting end of the season. Imperial in this one tonight, they did what they needed to do. They were on a 4-game losing streak. They got a win. They won by 5 goals. They won by a good margin. They were able to get their goal differential up. It was a huge step for them.
It was. Yeah, one of the things we talked about after this matchup in Lansing was what does Imperial do with Forbes coming back with the way that Velasquez played?
Oh, man, that is a question.
And he was hurt, and so we kind of stopped talking about that because we didn't know how long he was going to be out, what the injury looked like.
Yeah.
But tonight he showed really another level, and this had to be the best performance we've seen from a goalkeeper all season in FCS. And when you bring Forbes back in, we know Forbes has that track record and that consistency of being a phenomenal goalkeeper. How do you get both of them on the court? That was an idea that we kind of played around with. We never actually got to talk to Pierce Brannigan about that. But is there some way you get both of them onto the court at the same time?
I really don't think so. I think, as good as we've seen Michael Forbes be coming out flying as a 5th attacker, it's just not the same as being a court player. We've seen David Saltzman. He made that transition in the last couple of years, but I don't think that's a much bigger step, because when a goalkeeper comes out, he's often he often doesn't have the pressure on him. He's often in the attack, as that fifth attacker, and when usually they get into trouble when they're under the pressure. So it's just a totally different. It's a totally different experience. So I think it'd be very hard pressed, even if Forbes had the ability to do it, to kind of throw him into that situation. So it's, Pierce Brannigan has a very interesting decision to make because, Michael Forbes has been great and he's had that, and he's very fun to watch. He flies up the court. But Velasquez, he did things tonight that I've never seen Forbes do.
Yeah, he had an incredible game. Hands down, his decision-making was phenomenal. Just understanding when to break off the line and when to be aggressive and to win the ball back or to make the sliding tackle. He had so many times where his positioning even inside the arc was really great, where he limited opportunities for Jeremy Kleppel. So it's something that we've seen time and time again. Jeremy takes these powerful shots from just outside of the arc, and Velasquez was in the perfect position for those. And most of the times we've seen goalkeepers on the line blocking those or deflecting them or doing whatever they can, but he was at the top of the arc. And think about how that really cuts down the angle for Jeremy to be able to have any shot on goal. And so it was really, really excellent positioning. And when you think about the intelligence and the goalkeeping mentality, that's something that Velasquez showed a high level of tonight.
So how do you wrap it all up and tie it into a bow? Detroit Imperial, 5-goal win tonight, or by a margin of 5, 11-6. They get the 3 points that they really need to stay in the playoff hunt. It's going to be tough for Lansing City to get into the playoffs now, but they still have a pathway. It'll likely come down to the last 2 games of the season for both of them. They could still maybe both get in. Jinga might be out, or they might be in. That's kind of how we wrap it up. And then the last name you have to say is Emerson Velasquez in this game. Lansing City gave up some easy goals. Detroit Imperial had a couple that I think they probably deserved and created, but I think a lot of it came from Lansing City mistakes, particularly by the goalkeepers, and Velasquez didn't make those mistakes and played amazing. Gerard, last word for the night.
Velasquez.
That's it.
That's
where he's going to leave it.
Velasquez.
And that's where we're going to leave it. Thanks so much for tuning into the Futsal Champions Series here on FCS Live. Don't forget, we go live every Thursday right here in this studio, Gerard and we like to bring on guests when we can. For the third half podcast, we had 2 halves tonight. Third half is going to be next Thursday. So tune in. We usually start around 8:15, 8:30, depending on when our guests are available. So make sure you tune in on Facebook, or not Facebook. We might have put it on Facebook, but we're definitely going to be on YouTube. I don't know where Facebook came from. All of a sudden, Mark Zuckerberg just came into my head and was like, Facebook. No, we're going to be on YouTube, and bring your comments, bring your thoughts. I'm sure we're going to talk about this game. I'm sure we're going to talk about the games that are coming up, because we're just building up to just games that have so much at stake. So tune into the third half podcast this coming Thursday, right around 8:15 p.m., and we'll break down what's going on in the FCS and what's to come next. But that's all for tonight. On behalf of all the FCS team here at FCS Live, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Jared Kleppel along with Gerard Escani. Have a great night, everybody. Here's one last look at our sponsors.
Committing a crime so you can try to escape from prison. Bad idea. Going to the pod escape room to play an escape game with your friends. Great idea. Test your skill as an astronaut in outer space. Find Santa in Save Christmas. Or take a vacation to an abandoned island. Just don't get stuck there. The Pod Escape Room